I'm Katie Scheurer, and welcome to my channel, Project Spatial. Now, I am here to make sure that you are increasing your spatial impact this year and getting the most out of your GIS implementation. So, how do you do that? We get stuck with all of our day-to-day stuff and we get lost in maintaining our data and making sure that we have accurate information and all the other projects that we're getting bombarded with, that we tend to lose perspective on what our real goal is within the organization. Now, we exist to provide data-driven decisions to create a spatial thinking organization. But how do you really do that? So today I'm going to go through the 5 different steps that you need to go through to become a spatial thinking data-driven organization. So number 1 is all about collection. Data collection and curation of your geodatabases is the most important thing that you will start doing as a GIS professional. Now, the biggest thing with this is that you want to be collecting any data that you get your hands on. You want to go through historical records. I have spent tons of time in attics and basements collecting information and dusty files to go through and curate into a geodatabase. I've also gone through and scanned in aerial photography from the 1930s or 1940s and taken the time to georeference all of those because they give you a ton of historical information. You also want to be looking at the data that's already there, but just might not be organized or might not be location enabled. All of these give you opportunities to create more information that's going to give you more power when you go forward and you're trying to make information out of all of that data. This is also the stage that you want to be looking at getting GPS units and getting field verification. I don't care what map you start with or what information you start with, it is never going to be 100% accurate. There's always going to be lag and data maintenance issues that have creeped up along the decades. And it's really nobody's fault, it just is what it is. So make sure when you're doing your database creation that you're building in some time to do some field validation. And anybody that's in the GIS field can tell you of probably hours and hours of time that they have spent with a GPS unit out in the hot summer sun and collecting information. Because without that field verification, you don't know if your data is truly good. And if you can't rely on your data, people are not going to rely on the information that it creates. Also, I created a handout to go along with this video, and I want to make sure that you guys get it. It looks like this. And there will be links down below so you can go through, print it off, and share it with management and other people that you want to get involved in your spatial organization. I really spent a lot of time on this. I wanted to make sure it was useful, and I wanted to include all of the tasks in the different levels along with their benefits. So there's way more information involved in that handout than what you just see in this video. So after you get all of that information collected and curated and you feel like you have a really good base of information that you can start distributing, you want to move on to level number 2, which is data distribution and access. This way, people are able to access your information, and this is when you get to start having a little bit of fun. You can create some more maps, you can create some web apps, you can start getting some interconnectivity, and you really want to get as many eyes as possible on your information at this point. Now, sometimes this can be a little bit hard because people have seen you kind of working over in your office and they don't really know what you're doing, but they know that you're hard at work because you're always working. And they don't necessarily understand the information that you have and the value that it gives them. So I like to try to start with small projects, start with base information, and just get people's eyes on it. Get them, some kind of mobile app that they can have out in the field and just ask for their help to verify it. And that will help you find a lot of inaccuracies within your information by giving it to the people that know it the best. This is also the point where I want you to continue to think about collecting information and building your geodatabase further. Because just because you've moved on to another level where you're getting some spatial insight, you also want to make sure that you are not forgetting your geodatabases. All of these levels that you go through, I'm sorry to say, it's not like you finish step 1 and you move to step 2 and you forget about it. They all build on top of each other. It's just you can't get to the end before you start with the data. So as you go through these processes, remember this is all stuff that's building on top of each other. So you want to keep that in mind with your time and what you commit to making sure happens. If you are getting value out of this, please make sure to hit subscribe down below because it really helps me get the word about GIS out there. So level number 3 is workflow integration. Now this is really where you begin to see the power of GIS, because if you have a full GIS implementation, you're going to be able to deploy mobile apps, you're going to be able to deploy collector apps, you're going to have GPS enabled collection, you're going to be able to actually put the data and the ownership on other people besides just yourself. And this is where people start kind of figuring out that this information is valuable to them. And they start looking at not only what they can use it for, but they start relying on it. And this starts bringing the value into your organization about what GIS really is. It's a way to communicate. You start to break down barriers between departments, and you start tracking that data flow all the way from one department through all the other departments to the end, and then all the ways it goes back to the beginning. Because the thing is once people realize that there is accurate information that they can rely on and they can use to make better decisions, they're constantly looking for it and it's constantly changing, so you have to keep on going through that cycle of updating. And establishing good workflows helps your data integrity. It helps people really feel confident about the information that they're getting from your data. Make sure that you are talking to management at this stage, because you want to be able to get involved in all the workflows that are out there that are touching your information. And if you can get involved in that process of watching the data transform from when the person first looks at your database to the time that it takes to go through the process of changing that information out of the field and getting it back to you so you can keep that database up to date, you want to have that be a very short process and a very easy process for everyone. So you need to be involved in that, and a lot of times management doesn't know you can help with this, and they might be struggling right now. Everybody's trying to find ways to use less paper and more technology. So you need to tell them that, hey, I can help with these processes, and let's sit down and find the solutions that work. So step 4 is spatial analysis and discovery. Now, if you are still working in the same staff level that you were at step 1, you might need to consider changing your staffing or hiring specialized staff for this next step. Because when you're looking at spatial analysis and discovery, you need to have time to think. And that is one of the things that are the most overlooked. If you are dealing with the maintenance of steps 1, 2, and 3, where you are creating your data, you're giving people access to that information, and you're managing data workflows, you're not going to have time to get to this level. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. And so you need to speak up and either get more people involved, or this is the time to move some of those workflows onto other GIS people that are in your organization where they might not be GIS staff, but they might be able to handle some of that data curation and collection. So the spatial analysis and discovery allows you to take advantage of all of the really cool spatial analysts tools that are out there. This also allows you to start getting algorithms involved and not only testing your hypothesis, but see what is out there in the information. Do a little discovery. Do some machine learning or AI to kind of discover new things that are going on. There's so much that you can do with basic spatial analysis, with clustering, with layering things on top of each other and see how they're correlated with each other. There's so much that you guys can do in this time frame that really is going to give you the information that you need to make those bigger data-driven decisions of, I have $5 million in my budget to spend on streetlights next year. What am I going to do? I have all of these different towns that I need to take care of streetlights. Where's the best place to do it? If you have been doing that kind of asset management, it's so easy to pull up an analysis, see where you're degrading, see what assets are having issues, and you can put that money in the right place. And I would love it if you would leave a comment down below about what level are you at and how big is your organization. So step 5 is strategy and leadership. Now you need to have some sort of strategy and a say in the leadership in your organization. So to be able to take full advantage of all of this GIS information that you have built, all of the workflow, all of the data, all of the spatial analysis that you're doing to give data-driven decisions, you need to have that spatial mindset in your management and in your strategy building every year. Otherwise, you're going to be kind of hindering your GIS department because they are not going to know what's coming up, and they might not know how to create information that is going to give you those decisions that you need to make. You can't see a trend that is over 10 years without 10 years of information. So make sure that you have that spatial mindset in your leadership and you are getting involved in what is going on with the business and having a pulse on what needs to happen in the future. So check out the description down below where I'll have the link to the handout that I made to go along with this video. I really hope that you guys can use that to sit down with your leadership teams and kind of plan out where do you need to go forward with your GIS and your organization, and where can you implement more spatial thinking. So I hope you guys got value out of this. Please give this video a like if you did, and I will see you soon. Bye!